Sådär. So, hello, Anders.
Hello, Alexander.
Do you still miss David Bowie today?
Yes, I do, sir. I do so every day of the year.
Mm.
I don't dare to tell the truth that it's every hour, so I stick to the day.
Yeah.
And actually, you and I were planning that today, P. Ishii, our colleague, should be part of this episode.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's out kayaking.
Because might have been because he has exactly the same T-shirt.
Oh.
So we might have been lucky, so that both of us should have worn this "I Still Miss David Bowie" T-shirt. Do you remember what we said in the latest recording?
I don't know.
If we say when we talk today, was it 1 krona to Gothenburg Stadsmission?
That's true. Yeah, I agreed with that challenge. So, to the listeners, that's a good preparation if we are sounding a bit weird. We were trying to keep away from that word.
Yeah.
So, since it's only us two in this episode, I have went through your LinkedIn feed for the past 6 months, Anders.
Aye.
And was it? It was a couple of months ago. You started with an experiment, writing one thought every second week, or is it? Yeah, every week you share one thought about something.
It's actually not that structured. It started as an experiment to sort of think in a different way, meaning that many years ago when I was running a personal blog, I put up a thought each and every day. It could be a reflection from something or whatever. And just one day I thought, that's a thought. I'm going to put it there. And I did. And sometimes it's a fact, and sometimes it's a statement. Can be when I sit and work with something else, or when I hang out or look at something. I don't know. So it's not that structured. It sounded very structured when you described it.
Yeah. But I personally find those, even though it's only 1 or 2 sentences, it's a thoughtful thought which can give you as a reader as much value as reading an article or a blog, just seeing those. So in this episode, I thought we would go through some of them and just hear more comments about your thoughts. So here's one thought you published a couple of months ago. Everybody talks about digital transformation, but who can show real business results and tell how and what they have done? And this is a thought that we have touched based on in many episodes.
Yes, I think the companies that need the examples never see them, and most companies that claim they have the examples never show the proof of that they have. And it's not much more complicated than that. And the world needs the what and hows. Everyone needs the what and hows.
And do you think we're gonna get there?
I'm certain we're gonna get there, but it would be very helpful if people stop trying to claim that they can make such massive change in large changes. I think it would be very good for everyone involved if everyone showed small, easy, simple examples of how they have done things more easily, achieving effortless simplicity. However small the thing is, the better, because then it's doable for others to do it.
Yeah, and when you say sharing, do you mean sharing internally or is it communication?
Internally, externally, describing it at the dinner table with customers, in video meetings, wherever. Listen, I just want to tell something. We tested a thing last week.
Yeah.
That sort of everyone being transparent with the small changes with large effect, rather than claiming or believing that you should change the whole company.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Do you think any listeners now listen if we say
Probably. I already forgot it. So any more comments there on that first comment or thought?
Not for now.
Second thought here are companies generate more and more content and try to guide and nurture potential and existing customers through their more or less thought through sales pipelines. And for many companies, it's becoming harder than ever to identify and implement effective methods to connect with their target buyers. The solution isn't to create more content. It's to understand how it is to be them and stay relevant.
If I would read that and someone else wrote it, I would say, I'm not sure that the first couple of sentences are correct. I think very few really actually try. Perhaps they strive for it, but I don't think they succeed in it. But the last part with stop trying to find a lot of sort of easy ways through automation and other things. For the first time, really be interested in how it is to be done is the best start from all perspectives.
Yeah.
That's the start of it. So if I hadn't been writing that myself, I would have certainly agreed with the last part and said that I was very positive and nice to everyone in the first part.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Third thought here then. Companies generate, For many CEOs, online and social media is still something that their kids and relatives do. Less than half of the B2B CEOs that I know have an active social media presence, and only a few have posted anything the past year.
Some of them wouldn't agree with me when I actually wrote that I know. What I truly meant with that posting, that thought, was that I think too many CEOs of large companies have been invisible the last 12, 15 months, while a few others have used the time to really show who they are, what they think of their colleagues, and think of everything externally. Handful of global CEOs have been very visible internally and externally. Too many CEOs, and I talk about big B2B companies, I don't know where they have been since March last year. They have not been visible, and they have not been sort of super clear, showing internally and externally where they are about and where to go and what's next during this sort of pandemic period. So that was the start of that thought, and then I tried to provoke a bit, I guess.
Yeah. And were they present before March, or do you think that's a?
I would say at least more present when it came to their companies than they have been now. And I think for some of them the explanation is easy. These have been times that are extraordinary, and where they and their boards didn't know exactly how to behave. They haven't been in the situation before.
Yeah.
Perhaps some in the board was on board in the 19s when stuff happened, and some of them was around 12 years ago when stuff happened in the world. But I think they didn't know how to behave. while especially one CEO of a global company, I think he has done a marvelous job, and I'm not going to mention who it is, but a marvelous, fantastic job with the whole global company. Very visible internally and externally, and for the financial market and for customers and everything.
Yeah.
And he has changed from being a very traditional CEO to become someone who's been participating in pods, videos, webinars, everything. And I would say that huge respect for that, and he has done the right thing.
How much time do you think that the global CEO should spend on social media, online presence?
For everyone in business, I think it should be a natural part of your working day and how you work. And especially for CEOs, due to that, whatever you think about it, a listed company is sort of, everyone is looking at the CEO of a listed company for different reasons. But you are the person who guides the culture and how you think about things and how you act on things and how you live your lives in a company. So I would suggest that all CEOs should be very present, at least on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
For all reasons. I think I've been writing an article about the presence of CEOs on especially on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Another thought you had. Many companies spent last year struggling to catch up on decades and some very old trends, such as working from home, video usage, online commerce, digital workshops, and virtual events. What had long been a priority suddenly became the main priority, and too many companies found themselves unprepared. Imagine what the pre-pandemic reality will reveal for those companies.
I agree.
Yeah. So the companies you talk to, have they adapted, or could they prepare better for these challenges?
I think everyone should have been better prepared, but sometimes it takes something extraordinary to wake people up. At the same time, I'm still worried that this wasn't enough to modernize, and as we see right now, events and trade shows are booked up, hotels are booked up. I'm not certain that's the right way to go from many aspects. I think many will go back to what they've been longing for, exactly like it was before. And some have realized that life from all perspectives, work and private, has become better. So we'll see. But hopefully this period did some things well when it comes to digitalization. Hopefully.
Yeah. Are you are you surprised how well or how bad companies adapted?
Instead of talking about others, I can talk about Suma. And Suma has done it really well. And if I would apply what I said in that thought on Suma, we made a huge step if we talk about everyone in Suma in relation with our customers and internally in how to use digital and how to use virtual meetings and video and customer follow-up and events and demos and presentations and everything else. So I would say shame on us that we were not further ahead when March arrived last year, but very well done since that, and we will continue forward. So if I don't have opinions about anyone else, that's how I conclude what we have done.
Why do
But
you think we succeeded with adapting so fast?
it comes from all the people that works within Suma, looking positive at a very negative situation, gathering around that, oh, perhaps we could do this better than we did when we needed to meet in an office every day. And hopefully in a while, when we have perhaps have physical meetings in an office again, I think we will do this even better. And I think that many of our customers will say, should we have a physical meeting or a digital meeting? And I presume that there will be very few physical meetings with all the project members in Suma and on the customer side that actually meet. Perhaps we will do that once a year when we do an evaluation or have a dinner or something else. And I presume that we will travel very little to and from customers. That I presume that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we haven't learned anything on this. And then when it comes to much larger companies than us and then others, I'm not certain. I don't know.
No.
Is this going like you wanted it to go?
Yeah,
With
exactly.
discussing the thoughts?
It does, and it feels a bit about like a board game, a card game or something. I take a card and you need to comment. So yeah, I'm thinking about a Zuma game. Maybe we can develop that.
Yes, maybe. And maybe we should involve Herr Volander,
Mm?
Mr. Volander, Carl
Yeah.
Volander, our colleague.
Yeah,
He's been in the pod, hasn't he?
yeah, he has. We didn't talk about the games then, but in yeah, I think in the episode where Elizabeth talked about things you could do to maintain the social connection working remotely. She mentioned that each Friday we have a Friday fika, and Carl Wolander is the person who's presenting a game each week. So yeah,
That's
he would
right.
probably be the product owner of such an initiative then.
Yeah, we have to talk with Carl,
Yeah.
Mr. Volander.
So I'm picking another card here. Due to the extraordinary time we live in, customers are unlikely to purchase unless they need it right here and now. That means companies' efforts focused on actively pushing sales may fall flat. Clicking through online ads, social media posts, and emails are the three least popular ways for buyers to research a purchase decision. I really like this thought, and I feel very as a person who wants things right here, right now, when I finally get it. What were you in a specific situation when this thought came up, or?
I believe it was connected to that I looked at my own behavior while I was writing an article about customer behavior. I think this is the thought that I put up then. The reason was that I ordered something privately and it said within 2 to 5 days you'll get it to home. And for me, that was the prerequisite to purchase it. And then later on, they said it will come in 7 weeks. And after that, they said it will come in 17 weeks or whatever it was. So the thought started there, working at the dinner table here. And then at the same time, I was writing an article about customer expectations or behavior. So just showed up like that.
Yeah. So does that mean that the customer journey is shorter, or is it just important to
I mean, of course, it depends on the driver of the purchase, meaning the driving force behind the purchase. Very, very few B2B products are I need it tomorrow, but there are things that I need it now and tomorrow or the day after, which when you come to the B2B business, where the aftermarket could be spare parts, could be service, could be anything that's on demand, and you need to react immediately. And I think it's a much better mindset for companies to have that if someone is looking to solve something, you need to be there. You need to be there in person with an expert, and you need to be really fast. You need to presume that if someone clicks your chat or goes to your buy section or whatever they do, they want it here and now. And then perhaps it's something within B2B that everyone knows is a delivery time of 3 or 4 weeks. But you can't wait. You can't just say or blame or claim that, yeah, you know, in our business is 3 to 7 years before they buy something. Yeah, but when they contact you, they presume that you will react immediately. They don't presume that you will wait 3 months to answer what they asked for. So I think it's a very good mindset in B2B to think here and now.
Yeah.
You want it immediately. Otherwise, you talk to someone else that is faster.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see in a B2C how the trend of quick commerce and these new startups that promise to deliver essentials within 20 minutes or so. The logistic networks being built up. It's
you see such a difference when you get things sent to home, who they have signed with for distribution, how modern they are, and is it a text that arrives? Do you need to do something actively? Is it an app that they provide where you can change with short notice and you get the latest update on where they are? Or do they call you and presume that you have time to answer the phone? Otherwise, they skip to deliver. I mean, no difference in B2B. No difference at all when something is important. But it's very interesting to see. And now when people have been home ordering stuff for 15 months or 16 months, then they have gotten used to be fairly spoiled by some. And if they take that back to work when it's office supplies or whatever they are waiting for, well, let's wait and see. Then they perhaps start to get questions. How come that when I order home, blah, blah, but when I'm at work, blah, blah? Hopefully.
yeah.
Lovely.
So I'm picking the last card of this episode. And everyone closing their eyes, listeners. And the thought is, imagine Spotify or Netflix without suggestions and recommendations. What do you see? You got some comments on that?
Yeah, that's important. I don't expect people to answer, and I think that's if I could take away the like button and the comment field on LinkedIn when I write these thoughts, that would be marvelous to me, fantastic. Because I'm not looking after the answers. I'm not looking for people to say, "Whoa, that was smart," and put a like or whatever. I'm interested in that. If at least one person start thinking about it, then it's good. And my target group for everything I do on LinkedIn is people that I like. And people that I like, hopefully one of them spends 10 seconds thinking about the answer. But I don't say that people can't comment, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that people actually, like you said, I close your eyes for a couple of seconds and imagine Spotify or Netflix without sort of active suggestions.
Yeah.
nothing. It's just sort of big card game, and you sit there and scroll and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we turn that and we think that it's whatever in B2B, could be forklifts, could be trucks, could be bolts, could be whatever. Oy, oy, oy. That's what it looks like today
Yeah.
in many cases. Then some try to sort of do a bit more branding, but
More personalization and
much more personalization, or at least segmentation. If I've been to a site before and I have given them the permission to use my data, come on. Some things are not interesting at all for me. You don't need to be sort of a scientist to understand that. And if it's an existing customer, please give them the guidance, give them the help. Most people that B2B do business with have at least Spotify or Netflix, or do things in private where they are not spoiled, but they get some basic help. So that's the intention, and very happy if at least one person who see those thoughts have a thought.
yeah.
That's enough. I that's the reason behind it.
Yeah.
And of course that I like to think like that.
Yeah.
And then always before I publish, I think, okay, before you now click publish, how do we do it at Sumo? And then I think, hopefully one individual at Sumo looks at it and thinks, and then moves on.
Yeah.
So a colleague perhaps can get an idea or think something or do something.
And it's an excellent way of creating content as well, and repurposing it, like in this podcast, and also longer articles and so on. So I really appreciate those short
Good.
updates.
Then I'm happy, because then it's at least one person, and actually 2 of the ones you have mentioned now are now becoming articles, because I've been thinking about what I wrote, and then I've sort of started to create articles around it. Sometimes it's just a thought, and sometimes you can elaborate and think it through and get more content out of the few thoughts that. Yeah, so maybe you and I should make a recommendation for people that when you have a thought, put it in notes or in Grammarly or wherever, keep it there, look at it sometimes, and perhaps your thought has evolved to something that can become really interesting content. But if we look at the times, a very modern person, we could say Seth Godin.
Yeah.
His blog has been the same for ages, and he's putting thoughts there. And now when you and I sat and discussed this, I actually thought, shit, sometimes I think his postings are too long. And I mean, what do we talk about? At most 20 sentences. And sometimes my brain tells me, you don't have time to read through this today.
Yeah.
And if I don't read Seth Godin's blog immediately, there's a new one the next day, and
yeah,
I just made a decision that I'm gonna put in my calendar 30 minutes per week and read through the 7 latest thoughts from Seth Godin.
Yeah.
That's a decision now.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking about is that maybe and perhaps it's good to have very short and sort of stringent thoughts, because people do not have time.
No, and it also gives a lot of room for self thinking. If I'm not, it's you leave out a lot of space for reflections.
Good. No Pete today, but a lot of thoughts and thoughts on the thoughts. Could we say
Yeah.
so?
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander.